I was so excited when I first found out I was pregnant, and I remember rushing over to my parents' house to tell them.
It's something I've always wanted to do, is to be a grandmother, and I couldn't have been happier.
The next 9 months being pregnant, I absolutely loved it. The food I got to eat and not worry about it, and exercising while pregnant, I enjoyed the whole experience.
Maureen was a little bit overdue. She was scheduled to go in and be induced.
The hospital called and canceled the induction date, but the following day my water broke naturally.
Never in a million years did I think things would be as awful as they were.
And things were fine until they weren't, and that happened pretty quickly. So I remember I just received the epidural, and about a half an hour later, something didn't feel right. And alarms were beeping and all kinds of noises were going off, and I was terrified. And my nurse said, "I want you to remain calm because a lot of people are gonna come in the room right now."
This was one of those scenes where it seemed like every time we went around the corner, it was worse. I remember this very vividly. I was just about to put the oxygen on her face, and she looked up at me and said, "I don't want to die." And I looked down at her and I said, "I'm not going to let you die." And I put her to sleep. At first, we got Maureen to sleep and we got Mary out, and Mary, thank goodness, was okay. And just towards the end of the surgery, I noticed that her blood pressure wasn't as stable.
She had amniotic fluid embolism, which caused disseminated intravascular coagulation. In other words, she hemorrhaged.
So I figure we replaced all her blood entirely, around 10 times.
I mean, they could not get the blood in fast enough.
She would bleed out her blood volume in about 5 minutes if we weren't there.
Well, I started donating blood probably around 1975. It's kind of odd when I give the donation, they call, they make the appointment, I go in, I get my platelets, a glass of orange juice, and then I leave. It's sort of intangible. I don't really think about where my donation is going to go.
I never found out how much blood she got, but I think it was about 35 units.
Fresh frozen plasma, cryoprecipitate, and red blood cells.
The next thing I remember was waking up in the ICU. I never imagined that I would be a blood recipient, especially to so much blood.
I think the word needs to get out that more people need to be doing this because, as I said, it's a benefit to the community and you're probably saving someone's life.
When I stayed with Maureen in ICU, because Tom stayed with Mary, thinking, how did this happen? And I started thinking about the blood donors. And I think of these people who go out and donate blood. They don't know who it's going to. They have no reason to do it, but without these donors, I wouldn't have a daughter. Mary wouldn't have a mom. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all the angels that donate and save lives every single day, because without you, we wouldn't be here.
Do you want me to get into what happened a few days later? Okay. So as I said, it was a standard donation. I didn't think too much about it. Again, I was hoping that I was going to be helping somebody. Little did I know that about 5 days later, my daughter Maureen she was pregnant and she was in the hospital in labor. She began to bleed, and ultimately they were able to stop the bleeding. But little did I know that when I gave that donation 10th, 5 days later, my platelets could have gone to my daughter Maureen.
Now I feel great, and I plan to become a regular blood donor.
If you can find it in your heart to do it, it makes a big difference.
I would just say thank you. Thank you for saving my life, and you never know who's gonna receive your blood and how it's gonna impact them, and I wouldn't be here today without blood donations and blood donors. So thank you.